Hi guys, I'm back. Today is the 20th of June 2021. Today I'm going to read Genesis 31 to 35, Proverbs 20, and Psalm 23. Let's get started. Jacob heard what Laban's sons were saying. Jacob has taken everything our father owned, they said. He's taken all of his wealth from what belonged to our father. Jacob noticed that Laban's feelings toward him had changed. Then the Lord spoke to Jacob. He said, "Go back to your father's land and to your relatives. I'll be with you." So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah. He told them to come out to the field where his flocks were. He said to them, "I see that your father's feelings toward me have changed, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength. But your father has cheated me. He has changed my pay 10 times. In spite of everything that's happened, God hasn't let him help me." Sometimes Laban would say, "The speckled ones will be okay." Then all the flocks had little ones with speckles. At other times he would say, "The striped ones will be okay." Then all the flocks had little ones with stripes. So God has taken away our father's livestock and given them to me. Once during the mating season, I had a dream. And in the dream, I looked and saw a male goat mating with a flock. The goats had stripes, speckles, or spots. The angel of God said to me in the dream, "Jacob," I answered. "Here I am." He said, "Look around you. See the male goats mating with the flock. All of them have stripes, speckles, or spots. That's because I've seen everything that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel. That is where you poured olive oil on a sacred stone. There you made a promise to me. Now leave this land. Go back to your own land." Rachel and Leah replied, "Do we still have any share of our father's property? Doesn't our father think of us as outsiders? First he sold us. Now he has used up what he was paid for us. All the wealth God took away from our father really belongs to us and our children. So do what God has told you to do." Then Jacob put his children and wives on camels. He drove all his livestock ahead of him. He also took with him everything he had acquired in Padan Aram. He left to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Laban had gone to clip the wool from a sheep. While he was gone, Rachel stole the statues of the family gods that belonged to her father. And that's not all. Jacob tricked Laban, the Aramean. He didn't tell him he was running away. So Jacob ran off with everything he had. He crossed the Euphrates River, and he headed for the hill country of Gilead. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had run away. He took his relatives with him and went after Jacob. 7 days later, he caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban, the Aramean, in a dream at night. He said to him, "Be careful. Do not say anything to Jacob, whether it is good or bad." Jacob had set up his tent in the hill country of Gilead. That's where Laban caught up with him. Laban and his relatives camped there too. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've tricked me. You've taken my daughters away like prisoners of war. Why did you run away in secret and trick me? Why didn't you tell me? Then I could have sent you away happily. We could have sung to the music of tambourines and harps. You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You've done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you. But last night the God of your father spoke to me. He said, 'Be careful. Do not say anything to Jacob, whether it is good or bad. Now you have run away. You long to go back to your father's home. But why did you have to steal the statues of my gods?' Jacob answered Laban, 'I was afraid. I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has the statues of your gods, that person will not remain alive. While our relatives are watching, you look for yourself. You see if there's anything of yours here with me. If you find anything belonging to you, take it.' But Jacob didn't know that Rachel had stolen the statues. So Jacob went into Jacob's tent and Leah's tent. He went into the tent of their 2 female servants, but he didn't find anything. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Rachel was the one who had taken the statues of Laban's family gods. She had put them inside her camel's saddle. She was sitting on them. Laban searched the whole tent, but she didn't find anything. Rachel said to her father, 'I'm sorry, sir. I can't get up for you right now. But don't be angry with me. I'm having my monthly period.' So he searched everywhere, but he couldn't find the statues of his gods. Jacob was very angry with Laban. 'What is my crime?' he asked. 'What have I done to you that you hunt me down like this? You've searched through all my things. What have you found that belongs to your family?' Put it here in front of your relatives and mine. Let them decide between the two of us. I've been with you for 20 years now. The little ones of your sheep and goats were not dead when they were born. I haven't eaten rams from your flocks. I didn't bring you animals torn apart by wild beasts. They made up for loss by yourself. First they made me pay for anything stolen by day or night. And what was my life like? The heat burned me in the daytime. It was so cold at night that I froze. I couldn't sleep. That's what it was like for the 20 years I was living with you. I worked for 14 years to marry your 2 daughters. I worked for 6 years to get my share of your flocks. You changed my pay 10 times, but the God of my father was with me. He is the God of Abraham and the God Isaac worshipped. If you hadn't been with me, you would have surely sent me away without anything to show for my work. But God has seen my hard times. He's seen all the work my hands have done. So last night he warned me. Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks. Everything you see is mine. But what can I do today about these daughters of mine? What can I do about the children they've had? Come now, let's make a formal agreement, you and I. Let it be a witness between us. So Jacob set up a stone as a way to remember. He said to his relatives, get some stones. So they took stones and put them in a pile, and they ate thereby. Laban named the pile of stones Jegar-Sahadutha. Jacob named it Galeed. Laban said, this pile of stones is a witness between you and me today. That's why it was named Galeed. It was also called Mizpah. That's because Laban said, may the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. Don't treat my daughters badly. Don't get married to any woman beside my daughters. There isn't anyone here to see what we're doing. But remember that God is a witness between you and me. Laban also said to Jacob, here's this pile of stones, and here's the stone I've set up. I've set them up between you and me. This pile is a witness, and this stone is a witness. They are witnesses that I won't go past this pile to harm you. And they are witnesses that you won't go past this pile and this stone to harm me. The God of Abraham and Nahor is also the God of their father. May the God decide which of us is right. So Jacob made a promise using the name of the God that his father Isaac worshipped. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country, and he invited his relatives to a meal. After they ate dinner, they spent the night there. Later the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters. They gave them his blessing. Then he left and returned home. Jacob also went on his way. The angels of God met him. Jacob saw them. He said, this is the army of God. So he named that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau. Esau lived in the land of Seir. He was also called the country of Edom. Jacob told the messengers what to do. He said, here's what you must tell my master Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I've been staying with Laban. I've remained there until now. I have cattle and donkeys and sheep and goats. They said male and female servants. And now I'm sending this message to you. I hope I can please you. The messengers came back to Jacob. They said, we went to your brother Esau. He's coming now to meet you. He has 400 men with him. Jacob was very worried and afraid, so he separated the people with him into 2 groups. He also separated the flocks and herds and camels. He thought, Esau might come and attack one group. If he does, the group that's left can escape. Then Jacob prayed, you are the God of my grandfather Abraham. You are the God of my father Isaac. Lord, you are the one who said to me, go back to your country and your relatives, and I'll give you success. You have been very kind and faithful to me, but I'm not worthy of any of this. When I crossed this Jordan River, all I had was my walking stick, and now I've become 2 camps. Please save me from the hand of my brother Esau. I'm afraid he'll come and attack me and the mothers with their tongue. And you said, I will surely give you success. I will make your children as many as the grains of sand on the seashore. People will not be able to count them. Jacob spent the night there. He chose a gift for his brother Esau from what he had with him. He chose 200 female goats and 20 male goats. He chose 200 female sheep and 20 male sheep. He chose 30 female camels with their little ones. He chose 40 cows and 10 bulls. And he chose 20 donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He put each herd by itself. Then he put his servants in charge of them. He said to his servants, go on ahead of me. Keep some space between the herds. Jacob spoke to his servant who was leading the way. He said, my brother Esau will meet you. He asked, who is your master? Where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you? Then say to Esau, they belong to your servant Jacob. Our gift to you from him, and Jacob is coming behind us. He also spoke to the second and third servants. He told them all, and all the others who followed the herds what to do. He said, say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. Make sure you say, your servant Jacob is coming behind us. Jacob was saying, I will make peace with him, but with these gifts I'm sending on ahead. When I see him later, maybe he will welcome me. So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. That night Jacob got up. He took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and sent them across the Jabbok River. After they had crossed the stream, he sent over everything he owned. So Jacob was left alone. A man wrestled with him until morning. Then the man saw that he couldn't win, so he touched the inside of Jacob's hip. As Jacob wrestled with the man, Jacob's hip was twisted. Then the man said, Let me go, it is morning. But Jacob replied, I won't let you go unless you bless me. The man asked him, What is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, Your name will not be Jacob anymore. Instead, it will be Israel. You wrestled with God and with people, and you won. Jacob said, Please tell me your name. But he replied, Why do you want to know my name? Then he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel. He said, I saw God face to face, but I'm alive. The sun rose above Jacob as he passed by Peniel. He was limping because of his hip. That's why the Israelites don't eat the meat attached to the inside of an animal's hip. They don't eat it to this day. It's because the inside of Jacob's hip was touched. Jacob looked and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So Jacob separated the children. He put them with Leah, Rachel, and the 2 female servants. He put the servants and their children in front. He put Leah and their children next. And he put Rachel and Joseph last. He himself went on ahead. As he came near his brother, he bowed down to the ground 7 times. But Esau ran to meet Jacob. He hugged him and threw his arms around his neck. He kissed him, and they cried for joy. Then Esau looked around and saw the women and children. Who are these people with you? He asked. Jacob answered, They are the children God has so kindly given to me. Then the female servants and their children came near and bowed down. Next Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all came Joseph and Rachel. They bowed down too. Esau asked, Why did you send all those herds I saw? I hoped I could do something to please you. But Esau said, I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. No, please, Jacob, said Jacob, I've pleased you. If I've pleased you, accept this gift from me. Seeing your face is like seeing the face of God. You have welcomed me so kindly. Please accept the present that was brought to you. God has given me so much. I have everything I need. Jacob wouldn't give it, so Esau accepted it. Then Esau said, Let's be on our way. I'll go with you. But Jacob said to him, You know that the children are young. You also know that I have to take care of the cows and female sheep that are feeding their little ones. If the animals are driven hard for just one day, all of them will die. So you go on ahead of me. I will move along only as fast as the flocks and herds and the children can go. I will go slowly until I come to you and say it. Esau said, Then let me leave some of my men with you. Why do that? Jacob asked. I just hope I pleased you. So that day Esau started on his way back to Seir. But Jacob went to Succoth. There he built a place for himself. He also made shelters for his livestock. That's why the place is named Succoth. After Jacob came from Padan-aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan. He camped where he could see the city. For 100 pieces of silver he bought a piece of land. He got it from Hamor's sons. Hamor was the father of Shechem. Jacob set up his tent on that piece of land. He also set up an altar there. He named it Eloha Israel. Dinah was the daughter Leah had by Jacob. Dinah went out to visit the women of the land. Hamor the Hivite was the ruler of that area. When his son Shechem saw Dinah, he took her and raped her. Then he longed for Jacob's daughter Dinah. He fell in love with her and spoke tenderly to her. Shechem said to his father Hamor, Get me that young woman. I want her to be my wife. Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been raped. His sons were in the fields with his livestock, so he did nothing about it until they came home. Then Shechem's father Hamor went out to talk with Jacob. Jacob's sons had come in from the fields. They came as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and very angry. Shechem had done a very terrible thing. He had forced Jacob's daughter to have sex with him. He had done something that should never be done in Israel. But Hamor said to Jacob and his sons, My son Shechem wants your daughter. Please give her to him to be his wife. Let your people and ours get married to each other. Give us your daughters as our wives. You can have our daughters as your wives. You can live among us. Here's the land. Live in it, trade in it, buy property in it. But then Jacob spoke to Dinah, his father and brothers. He said, I want to please you. I'll give you anything you ask for. I'll make the price for the bride as high as you want it. I'll pay you whatever you ask. Just give me the young woman. I want to marry her. His sister Dinah had been raped. So Jacob's sons lied to Shechem and his father Hamor. We can't give our sister to a man who isn't circumcised. That will bring shame on us. You'll have to circumcise all your males. Then we'll give you our daughters as your wives, and we'll take your daughters as our wives. We'll live among you and become one big family among you. But if you won't agree to be circumcised, then we'll take our sister and go. The offer seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man was the most honored of all in all his father's family. He didn't need to lose any time in doing what Dinah's father and brothers had said, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. Hamor and his son Shechem went to the city gate. He spoke to the other men there. These men are friendly toward us, they said. Let them live in our land. Let them trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters, and they can marry us. But they will agree to live with us as one big family on one condition. All our males must be circumcised, just as they are. Won't their livestock and their property belong to us? Won't all their animals become ours? So let's say yes to them. Then they'll live among us. All the men who went out through the city gate agreed with Hamor and his son Shechem. So every male in the city was circumcised. 3 days later, all of them were still in pain. Then Simeon and Levi took their swords. They were Jacob's sons and Dinah's daughters. They attacked the city when the people didn't expect it. They killed every male. They also used their swords to kill Hamor and his son Shechem. Then they took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. Jacob's other sons found the dead bodies. They robbed the city where their sister had been raped. They took the flocks and herds and donkeys. They took everything in the city and in the fields. And they carried everything away. And they took all the women and children. They took away everything in the house. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You've brought trouble on me. Now I'm a very bad smell to the Canaanites and Perizzites who live in this land. There aren't many of us. They may join together against me and attack me. Then I and my family will be destroyed. But they replied, So should Shechem have treated our sister like a prostitute? Then God said to Jacob, Go up to Bethel and live there. Build an altar there to honor me. That's where I appeared to you when you were running away from your brother Esau. So Jacob spoke to his family and to everyone. He said, Get rid of the statues of false gods you have with you. Make yourselves pure by washing and changing your clothes. Come, let's go up to Bethel. Then I'll build an altar to honor God. You answered me when I was in trouble. He's been with me everywhere I've gone. So they gave Jacob all the statues of false gods they've had. They also gave him the earrings. Jacob buried those things under the tree at Shechem. Then Jacob and everyone with him started out. The terror of God fell on the towns that chased them. Fell on the towns all around them, so no one chased them. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz. Luz is also called Bethel. It's in the land of Canaan. Jacob built an altar at Luz. He named the place El Bethel. Then God made himself known to Jacob when he was running away from his brother. Rebekah's attendant Deborah died. They buried her body under the oak tree outside Bethel. So he was called Alon Bacchus. After Jacob returned from Paddan Aram, God appeared to him again, and God blessed him. God said to him, Your name is Jacob, but you will not be called Jacob anymore. Your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. God said to him, I am the mighty God. Have children, so that there will be many of you. You will become the father of a nation and a community of nations. Your later family will include kings. I am giving you the land I gave to Abraham and Isaac. I will also give it to your children after you. Then God left him at the place where he had talked with him. Jacob set up a sacred stone at the place where God had talked with him. He poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured olive oil on it. Jacob named the place Bethel. That's where God had talked with him. They moved on from Bethel. Ephrath wasn't very far away when Rachel began to have a baby. She was having a very hard time with it. The woman who helped her saw that she was having problems, so she said to Rachel, Don't be afraid, you have another son. But Rachel was dying. As she took her last breath, she named her son Ben-Oni, but her father named him Benjamin. So Rachel died. She was buried beside the road to Ephrath. Ephrath was also called Bethlehem. Jacob set up a stone marker over her tomb. To this day, the stone marks the place where Rachel was buried. Israel moved on again. He set up his tent beyond Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in that area, Reuben went in and fled with Bilhah. She was the concubine of Reuben's father, and Israel heard about it. Here are the 12 sons Jacob had. Leah was the mother of Reuben, Jacob's oldest son. The other sons were Simeon, Levi, Judah, Isaac, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's female servant, Bilhah, were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's female servant, Zilpah, were Gad and Asher. Those were Jacob's sons. They were born in Paddan Aram. Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre. Mamre is near Kiriath Arba, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. The place is also called Hebron. Isaac lived for 180 years. Then he took his last breath and died. He was very old when he joined the members of his family who had already died. His sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Proverbs 20. Why cause you to make fun of others and foolish, and be a cause you to start fights? Anyone who is led astray by them is not wise. A king's anger brings terror like a lion. Anyone who makes them angry may lose their life. Avoiding a fight brings honor to a person, but every foolish person is quick to argue. Anyone who refuses to work doesn't plant the right seeds. When they look for a crop at harvest time, they don't find it. The purposes of a person's heart are like deep water, and one who is understanding warms the mouth. Many claim to have love that never fails, but who can find a faithful person? Those who do what is right live without blame. Must have their children after them. A king sits on his throne to judge. He gets rid of all evil when he sees it. No one can say, I have kept my heart pure and clean, and I haven't sinned. The Lord hates two things. He hates ways that weigh things heavier or lighter than they really are. He also hates measures that measure things larger or smaller than they really are. Even small children are known by their actions, so as they conduct really pure and right. The Lord has made two things. He has made ears that hear. He has also made eyes that see. Don't love sleep, or you will become poor. Stay awake, and you have more faith than you need. It's no good, says the lion. Then off they go and brag about what they bought. There's gold, and there are plenty of rubies. Where lips that speak knowledge are a priceless jewel. Take the coat of one who puts up money for a stranger eyes. Hold it until you get paid back if it is done for an outside. Food gained by cheating tastes sweet. You will end up with a mouthful of gravel. Plans are made by asking for guidance. So if you go to war, get good advice. A person who talks about others tells secrets. So avoid anyone who talks too much. If anyone asks for bad things to happen to their father or mother, that person's lamp will be blown out in total darkness. Property that you claim to sin will not be blessed in the end. Don't say, I'll get even with you for the wrong you did to me. Wait for the Lord, and He will make things right for you. The Lord hates ways that weigh things heavier or lighter than they really are. Skills that are not honest don't please Him. The Lord directs a person's steps. So how can anyone understand their own way? A person is shy if they make a hasty promise to God and then later thinks about what they say. A wise king gets rid of evil people. He understands threshing wheel over them. The spirit of a person is the lamp of the Lord. It lights up what is deep down inside them. Love and truth keep a king safe. Faithful love makes his throne secure. Young men are proud of their strength. Grey hair brings honor to old men. Bosom wounds scrub evil away. And beings may keep pure deep down inside. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need. He lets me lie down in fields of green grass. He leads me beside quiet waters. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths for the honor of His name. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. You are with me. Your shepherd, rod and staff comfort me. You prepare a feast for me, right in front of my enemies. You pour oil on my head. My cup runs over. I'm sure that your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. Now that's done, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your head. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as you also forgiven our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.